Namaskar and welcome to Express News, where we give you the top news in quick time. Let's begin. Union Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman announces the second tranche of steps focusing on migrant workers, street vendors, small traders and self-employed and small farmers. Addressing the media, the Finance Minister says that 3 crore farmers have availed concessional loans with the benefit of 3-month moratorium. Finance Minister also says that around 7,200 new self-help groups have been formed for the urban poor during these 2 months of COVID-19 period. She also said that the urban poor are contributing in COVID period under SHG scheme with 12,000 self-help groups all over the country, which have produced over 3 crore masks and 1.2 lakh litres of sanitizers. The Finance Minister also spoke about the liquidity support to farmers and rural economy. 63 lakh loans worth 86,600 crore rupees have been approved in agriculture between March 1 and April 30. Refinancing of rupees 29,500 crore by NABARD to cooperative banks in March and support of 4,200 crore rupees under Rural Infrastructure Development Fund. Nirmala Sitharaman said that more migrant workers can now get work in their own states under Manrega as more work has been generated. The wage rate has also been increased from 182 rupees to 202 rupees as the government aimed to make minimum wages applicable to all workers, which is now applicable only to 30% of workers. Finance Minister asserted that the government aimed to make ESIC benefit compulsory to all establishments and provision has been made also for Social Security Fund for the informal sector. She also stated that all occupations are open to women with night working shifts with proper safeguards. EPF support of paying 24% is already borne by the government. It has now been extended for the next 3 months. Finance Minister has announced free food grain supply to all migrants in the next 2 months. For non-card holders, they shall be given 5 kgs of wheat or rice and 1 kg of pulses per family. 3,500 crore rupees will be spent on this in the next 2 months to benefit 8 crore migrant workers. In order to benefit migrant workers, the government has introduced one ration card for one nation, through which the people can buy ration across the country from ration depots across the country. The Finance Minister also said that the government is looking forward to converting government-funded housing in major cities to affordable rental housing complexes for the urban poor migrants. Government has also given 6,000 crore rupees push for Campa funds, and that aims to employ Adivasi and tribal people for afforestation work, forest protection, wildlife protection, etc. The Finance Minister said that the current portfolio of Mudra Shishu loan is up to 50,000 rupees or less, and after the 3 months moratorium, when borrowers start to repay, they will get an interest subvention of in the next 12 months. For street vendors, the government has announced that they will get special credit facility of 5,000 crore rupees. Within a month, the government will launch the scheme of 50 lakh street vendors. For 50 lakh street vendors, the initial working capital of 10,000 rupees will be given to each street vendor. The Union Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman will address a press conference again today at 4 p.m. and will continue to announce more measures. Prime Minister Narendra Modi said that the announcements made by the Finance Minister yesterday will especially benefit our farmers and migrant workers. The announcements include a series of progressive measures and will boost food security, credit to farmers as well as street vendors. #Atmanirbhar Bharat package. Prime Minister Narendra Modi interacts with Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation co-chair Bill Gates via video conference. The dignitaries discuss the global response to COVID-19 and importance of global coordination on scientific innovation to combat the pandemic. Prime Minister highlights India's conscious approach in its fight against the health crisis, which is based on ensuring public engagement through appropriate messaging, explains how this people-centric bottom-up approach has helped with winning the acceptability for physical distancing respect for frontline workers, wearing of masks, maintaining proper hygiene, and respecting the lockdown provisions during the interaction with the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation co-chair. The Prime Minister appreciates health-related work being done by the Gates Foundation, not only in India but also in many other parts of the world, including coordinating the global response to COVID-19. A group of ministers meets under the leadership of the Union Health Minister, Dr. Harsh Vardhan. Other union ministers were present. They discussed the way forward amid COVID situation. The Chief of Defence Staff, General Bipin Rawat, was also in attendance. India calls for an agreement between G20 countries to enable use of flexibilities under WTO Pact on intellectual property rights to ensure access to essential medicines, treatments and vaccines at affordable prices. Commerce Minister Piyush Goyal calls upon the G20 countries to agree to provide diagnostic and protective kits, equipment and healthcare for professionals across borders where they are most needed. The Commerce Minister also says that India is proactively partnering in the global efforts to develop vaccines and effective treatment of this disease. He said that India will offer its full support to any global engagements to further this cause. In the Maldives, INS Jalashwa will commence its journey once again from Malé and bring back Indian citizens to Kochi in Kerala. This is its second trip. INS Jalashwa has reached Malé for the second round, where passengers boarded the ship to return back to the motherland. In its first round, INS Jalashwa evacuated 698 people from the Maldives. The second phase of Vande Bharat mission will also begin from May 16 and will end on May 22. Indo-Tibetan Border Police Hospital at Greater Noida, declared a COVID-19 hospital, comes up with a new initiative. It resorts to technological equipments while taking care of patients being treated with coronavirus. In the ITBP hospital, a new automatic vehicle introduced to deliver food, water, medicines to the patients in order to decrease the frequency of contact with patients. Union Railways Minister Piyush Goyal expresses anguish on states which aren't giving permission to Shramik special trains to send labourers back home. In a tweet, the Union Minister has said that it pained him that despite the fact that the Railways has provided 1,200 Shramik trains for migrant labourers, several states like West Bengal, Rajasthan, Chhattisgarh and Jharkhand are not giving enough permission to send these labourers back home. The Union Minister has once again appealed to the West Bengal government to give permission for 105 trains every day instead of 105 trains in 30 days. The BJP spokesperson Sambit Patra also slammed states for not giving permission to send labourers back home. The portals of the Badrinath temple in Uttarakhand open. A limited number of people are present during the Kapat opening ceremony. This is due to the ongoing lockdown. The IMD Director General, Mr. Mohapatra, says that low pressure system over southeast Bay of Bengal is expected to concentrate into a depression in the evening or the night and further intensify into a cyclonic storm over south and adjoining central parts of Bay of Bengal tomorrow evening. More than 44 lakh people have been infected by the novel coronavirus globally and 3 lakh people have died worldwide. The US currently accounts for the highest number of coronavirus deaths in the world. The US recorded new 1,754 coronavirus deaths in the past 24 hours, taking the total to 85,884. President Donald Trump says that he intends to prepare the country for future pandemics by restocking the national stockpile. Trump confirms that his administration has asked for the withdrawal from American pension fund investments in China and also has ruled out renegotiating a trade deal with China. The New York Governor Andrew Cuomo said that 5 regions of New York State can be reopened and some businesses can resume functioning from May 15. The first phase of reopening will be watched for at least 2 weeks before adding more jobs and businesses back onto the reopening list. The New York Stock Exchange trading floor will partially reopen on May 26 after over 2 months of closure to control the spread of the coronavirus. Singapore's military has launched a mobile swab station, and this will test the new coronavirus with the aim of keeping medical staff safe as the nation works to test all migrant workers. Singapore's military mobile swab station consists of a modified military ambulance with a clear plastic barrier at the rear of the vehicle, outfitted with gloves, and also it was created by engineers from the Ministry of Defence in collaboration with the Defence Science Technology Agency and ST Engineering. Authorities in the Chinese city where the novel coronavirus emerged launched an ambitious campaign on Wednesday to test all of its 11 million residents after a cluster of new cases raised fears of a second wave of the infection. The state broadcaster CCTV showed footage of hundreds of residents queuing up for pre-screening and testing at the Renmin Hospital of Wuhan University on Wednesday. New Zealand has unveiled a record $50 billion fund in its budget to restore an economy hit by the coronavirus pandemic, but has warned it may not be enough to stop thousands from losing jobs and businesses from shutting. The massive spending, which includes billions on infrastructure, healthcare, housing, and an extension of its wage subsidy scheme, has set the stage for New Zealand Prime Minister's re-election campaign as the centre-left government seeks to consolidate support ahead of the September poll. New Zealanders embraced easing coronavirus restrictions. Businesses including malls, cinemas, cafes and gyms allowed to reopen after the country downgraded some of the tightest measures in the world to level 2. In New Zealand, schools can open from Monday next. That's May 18, while bars can open from May 21. Spain's daily coronavirus death toll rises to above 200 on Thursday for the first time since May 8. The overall death toll from the disease has risen to 27,321 from 27,104 as 217 people reportedly died overnight. Preliminary results from the nationwide coronavirus antibody study showed that about 5% of the overall Spanish population had contracted the novel coronavirus, about 10 times more than the tally of diagnosed cases suggests. Officials of the World Health Organization say that it is hard to predict when the pandemic will be over, but the novel coronavirus may never go away. Dr. Michael Ryan, the Executive Director of the WHO Health Emergencies Programs, has said that we have a new virus entering the human population for the first time, and therefore it is very hard to predict when we will prevail over it. This virus may become just another endemic virus in our communities, and this virus may never go away. Ryan says that he hopes to eliminate the virus with the help of a highly effective vaccine, which should be made available to everyone. He said that there is a massive opportunity for the world to turn a tragic pandemic into a beacon of hope for the future, urging the world to work together to hold it in check through solidarity and trust. The World Health Organization urged countries to exercise caution when lifting their lockdown measures in order to avoid a second wave of the coronavirus infections. The Executive Director of Health Emergencies Program, Ryan, called for governments and the public to maintain extreme vigilance. The United Nations health experts have said that a mental illness crisis is looming as millions of people worldwide are surrounded by death and disease and are forced into isolation, poverty and anxiety by the pandemic COVID-19. Deborah Kestel, the Director of the World Health Organization's Mental Health Department, has said that the isolation, fear and uncertainty, the economic turmoil, they all cause or could cause psychological distress. More vehicles on the roads in London after the UK began to tentatively ease coronavirus lockdown. Prime Minister Boris Johnson encourages those who couldn't work from home to return to work, but to avoid public transport at all costs to prevent the spread of the virus. China reports less than 20 new asymptomatic infections of COVID-19 each day for 10 consecutive days and will continue to enlarge the coverage of nucleic acid testing to guard against any possible rebound of the endemic of the epidemic in the country. This is what the spokesperson of the National Health Commission, Shang Shuli, said at a press conference in Beijing. The National Health Commission's Shang Shuli has also said that there were 60 existing imported cases, including 3 severe ones. A Canadian mother was in for a pleasant surprise as her children, who aren't living with her, showed up at her door to wish her Happy Mother's Day. Janet Yongao burst into tears as her children made a surprise appearance to wish her a Happy Mother's Day in Mississauga. The famous singers, including Imelda May, Clean Bandit and Melanie C, marked International Nurses Day by paying tribute to nurses working on the front line of the coronavirus pandemic. The star-studded video included messages of gratitude from the celebrities and renditions of some of their hit songs. Shoppers buy more fruits and vegetables and cut spending on ready-made meals, turning to healthier eating during the coronavirus lockdowns. People forced to stay at home also tried new recipes and threw away less food, according to a survey of nearly 11,000 shoppers in 11 countries. A British man is hoping to get a motorized garden tool that will help gain him a Guinness record. Nix already holds the record for the world's fastest shed and hopes that he can do the same in the Barrow of Speed. Now, he built this machine out of zero budget using a donated 50cc Honda scooter and parts that he already had lying around. He hopes he'll reach a speed of around 65 kilometers an hour. An autonomous drone has begun delivering urgent medical supplies to a hospital on the Isle of Wight off the southeast coast of England. The drone delivers the medical supplies to hospitals on the Isle of Wight, and it can fly 620 miles, carrying around 220 pounds of equipment. It's faster than a ferry crossing and cheaper than a normal flight. Gaming hardware maker Razer plans to dispense its locally produced masks in Singapore through a network of vending machines across the city-state, where it has become compulsory to wear them in the public. President Donald Trump of the United States says he still strongly believes the Federal Reserve should have negative interest rates, but has given a modicum of approval to the Fed Chair Jerome Powell, who said earlier in the day that the central bank would not lower rates beyond zero. Donald Trump also says that a $3 trillion plus coronavirus relief package proposed by the Democrats in the U.S. House of Representatives was dead on arrival. The Democratic proposal, which includes funding of states, businesses, food support and families, was quickly rejected by Trump's fellow Republicans in the U.S. Senate after it was unveiled on Tuesday. Malls and outdoor markets open across Israel after the country eased many restrictions on the public put in place to prevent the spread of coronavirus. Israelis, who for the most part have been confined for weeks to their homes, for immediate neighborhoods in fact, are now also allowed to travel anywhere in the country, including to visit elderly relatives whom they have been avoiding as a precaution. In Belgium, the 72-hour blooming of the world's largest flower was live-streamed by Belgium's Mesa Botanic Garden, and it captivated everyone, including flora lovers as well. During the blooming, which occurs every 3 years in natural environments, the fetid odor of the flower attracts sweat bees from far and wide, and they go there before dying. In Brazil, indigenous Brazilians gathered to pay their final respects to a tribal chief who lost his life to the coronavirus. Martins Kokama was 53 and was a revered leader of the region of Manaus State, which consists of over 3,000 residents from at least 37 different ethnic tribes. As the coronavirus cases continue to pile, Moscow will begin to free mass testing of their citizens. This will happen from May 15. The Moscow mayor Sergei Sobyanin has said on a website, with a target of 100,000 people a day by the end of the month. Deaths from the COVID-19 epidemic in Italy have climbed by 262 on Thursday, while the daily tally of new cases has risen to 992, marking the largest number of deaths in a day since May 7. And France's coronavirus cumulative death toll has edged back above Spain's, and the number of people who died of COVID-19 in the past 24 hours has increased by 351, taking the total to 27,428. The infection cases have surpassed 178,000. France has the world's fourth highest death toll after the United States. Paris's Charles de Gaulle Airport has boosted safety measures as France lifted its strict lockdown, and air travel is expected to pick up. Almost 200 alcohol gel dispensers are placed across terminals. The floor markings, spaced 1 meter apart, indicate proper distancing, and cleaners disinfect booths and counters. Large parts of Japan marked the first day out of a state of emergency on May 15, while major population centers, including capital Tokyo, remained under restrictions. Well, that's all the news we have for you in Express News for today. Thanks very much for watching. Namaskar.